Ooh, that smells sweet.
Ooh, it is. You're right. What is up, everybody? John is getting a little sweet taste on his tongue. You like that?
Yeah. I mean, this is a really good beer.
Yeah, it is a great beer. And it's an IPA. You don't like IPAs.
They're not my favorite, but I do. I mean, I don't order them when I'm out by myself, but I'll drink them with other people.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. Don't.
He enjoys them with other people, but it's not his go-to. But we got right into that.
Yeah, sorry.
Great intro. That was a great intro. I like that. But anyway, oh my goodness. Anyways, happy Friday, everybody. Technically, it's Thursday for us, so it's still National IPA Day.
Yeah. So happy National IPA Day, everyone. We're
yesterday
celebrating our National IPA Day a day prior than you guys. So,
drinking an IPA.
Yeah, and we're going to be doing Bound by Time with Edmunds Oats Brewing Company.
It's a good one.
It
like John
is
said, it's kind of sweet.
It's got a nice little sweetness to it. Yeah, I like it so far.
Yeah, it's not like your typical hoppy IPA.
No, it's definitely not hoppy. It's got its bitterness to it. It's actually a sweet bitterness, though. It's nice. I really like it. Like we said, we jumped right into it, so it must be good.
Yeah. So, anyways, again, everybody, welcome to the Fantasy Tap. My name's Michael. Again, this is John. Actually, yesterday he said today his name is Steven. So it's Steven here today with me. But we've got some, oh my gosh, John, we did it. We did it.
What did we do?
We won.
We won.
We won.
Oh, we won.
Yeah, we did.
We won. We won, everyone.
We did.
So if anyone's going to be joining in on that listener league that we mentioned in our previous episode, and actually the episode before that as well. But yeah, so if anyone's going to be joining into that listener league, we have acquired the final prize, the grand prize.
The golden ticket, baby.
Yeah, and what we're going to be giving away to the winner of
Timeout. Drum roll.
Okay.
Hit it.
What we're going to be giving out is a signed and autographed Tyreek Hill helmet.
Full-sized,
that will be going to whoever is the number one.
Whoever wins the league, unless it's one of us.
And then we'll be giving it to the next highest finisher. So if you are interested in having that chance to win that helmet and, possibly just enjoy the bragging rights of being the Fantasy Tap's first listener league winner, just make sure you reach out to us on our Instagram or Twitter at the Fantasy Tap, or send us an email at the fantasytap@gmail.com so you can get your spot before it's closed up.
I'm excited.
Me too.
I'm excited for it.
It kind of hurts knowing that I can't win it myself and put it on my shelf.
Yeah, John's already bidding on others. He's like, oh, he's a fiend now. He wants a Tyreek Hill.
I was trying to convince him to figure out how we can keep it, but apparently we're hard firm on that. If you guys win, you win it. So
yes, this is for the people. So yeah, like you said, DM us. All you got to do, it's free. No buy-in, no nothing. All you got to do is bring your fantasy football knowledge, DM us, draft against us, which will be the last Sunday.
Absolutely.
Of our Sunday Live mock drafts happening this Sunday.
Happening this Sunday as well. And then you obviously have that input of knowing, if you listen to us every week and every episode, kind of where we're going and what we're going to be doing.
Use it against us.
Yeah.
Win that Tyreek Hill helmet.
Yeah. And that's what it's going for. So bring that back to your house and put it up and make it look pretty. Make
your wife, make your significant other really pissed. Because, put it on Thanksgiving. I guess it'll be after because there's going to be a full football season. Okay, next Thanksgiving, put it in the center of the table.
Over the turkey?
Yeah, over the turkey. Put it on the turkey.
Yeah, I'd be happier looking at a Tyreek Hill helmet than that golden turkey. Just slice it up anyways.
Yeah. So, anyways, we're super excited about that. Dang, we skipped through this intro real quick.
Hey.
Nice. Good stuff. So let's get into our show overview real quick for you guys. First, we got a listener question. Excited to answer that. Talked about it a little bit before, but we'll get a little bit more in depth in the answer today. Then we've got our late round running backs and tight ends. This is going to be a good one.
It's going to be interesting because late round running backs, you're getting kind of
We're talking late round running backs.
Yeah, we're going people that are possibly undrafted, depending on your
3
format.
A's.
So you're talking people that could be league winners, could find a flex player in a position where you're expecting to find someone barely to fill a roster spot. So, you ready for it?
Oh, we getting into it?
No, we're going to be doing our
we're getting into the next segment. You want to get there? All right.
I'm ready.
All right. So from Rob Street is on fire. Shout out for hitting us up on Instagram and asking your question. His question is, how should league commissioners address the potential for players to get C19 and sit out? C19 being COVID-19.
So as we discussed in our previous episode and mentioned a couple times in our news segments, what we've suggested for people in this upcoming pandemic and what's going on with leagues right now is opening up extra IR spots for COVID-only players and then keeping it as manageable as possible and, goodwill. I believe that there's FanDuel that was doing COVID.
I don't know about FanDuel. I didn't look into FanDuel, but I know NFL.
Was it NFL you sent me?
Yes, and yes, it was. NFL, if you're using their fantasy football site, they do have COVID spots now.
Yeah.
That you can actually put them on away from your team, so it doesn't hurt your team. A couple other one other app that I know of that's kind of catering to COVID-19 and what's going on in the league is my favorite. It's Sleeper. And what they're doing is they have the COVID-19 designations, and there's a little toggle in the settings that you can either allow or not allow COVID-19 players on your IR. So if you switch it on, then you add a couple extra IR spots. That way it mitigates the risk of having to cut players. It lets people keep the basis of their team. God forbid your first round pick
goes down. I mean, it seems almost someone does every year. Someone from that first round group goes down for almost the whole season.
Well, but now even if they're just around it, they're getting designated as COVID and they can't do anything until, so God forbid, they do come in contact with it, whether they have it or not, they're going to be designated COVID-19 and they're not going to be able to be around the team or play a game. So you want to make sure that, you make it fair for everybody. Obviously, players aren't going to want to drop their first, second, or third round players just because they have or are designated
to have a disease.
Right. So one of my leagues, what we're doing is we actually have 10. We're going to open up an extra 8 spots for COVID potential players. Obviously, and that's on Sleeper. Obviously, there's no. You've got to. It's on the honor system.
There's no way to track it and make sure that everyone that's going to be on there is actually COVID designated and not on true IR due to injury.
Right. So in that app, you do have to be. You're on the honor system, making sure you don't abuse that. But like I said, the NFL app does have those COVID designated spots. Another thing, I think the biggest thing would be just making sure you come to an agreement. Like we said in the last 2 episodes ago, making sure you come to an agreement before this all happens.
Well, I got a question for you. So
I got an answer.
What do you think about opening up waivers? So some apps will lock waivers until Tuesday or Wednesday morning and close them Sunday at 1 o'clock. So what do you think about opening up waivers to be fully open throughout the league or throughout the season, just in case your player gets designated COVID, because they're probably going to be tested prior to games?
So personally, and this is my thought, do your normal waivers that they open on Wednesday or Thursday morning. That way, everybody has time to put in their needs, their waivers or who they want from the waiver. And then at that point, after Thursday, because game starts Thursday, it's open. So at that
Thursday until at what time Sunday would you close them?
I mean,
normal time at game time?
I probably wouldn't close them until Monday.
So you keep
because
them
they're
open through the
through
games?
the weekends. Yeah, exactly. So let the big, the big waiver additions, let it happen the way it should, whether you're in a fab league or reverse order league. Let it happen for the bigger waiver targets, and then after that, let it be open. That way, it kind of keeps it fair. If somebody's player is the day before or even day of gets designated as a COVID player, then they have the opportunity to just go pick somebody up. So
Gotcha. Yeah.
that's how how would you handle it?
I agreed. I would keep it I think you should open up your waivers as soon as Tuesday morning. Personally, I mean, after that Monday night game, there's no reason for your waivers not to be open, especially in a situation where players are going to be going out really quickly.
Yeah, but personally, I feel like give them at least a day to people to kind of see who performed and read the matchups for the week.
Well, yeah, I guess it would depend on the kind of league. If I'm doing a family league where I'm playing non-competitively and I'm just playing for fun, then yeah, do that. But if I'm playing in a super competitive league where if a lot of money's on the line and I'm supposed to be spending a lot of time paying attention to this stuff, open it up because I need to make sure that I get my first dibs as soon as I can.
Yeah. So another big thing for commissioners is other players' input. Don't just be like, okay, the commissioner has it. He's going to handle it. He's going to handle, because that just sets them up for failure because somebody's going to complain. There's going to
absolutely.
So it needs to be not just on your commissioners, but a league-wide agreement or a vote.
Voting, make it a democracy,
Yeah.
So
that's the best way. And you're not, with the way everything is right now, you're not going to have 100% like unanimity.
Unanimous?
But there's a unanimity? DM me the word. Somebody. Unanimously.
Unanimously?
Yeah. So it's something unanimous. Being unanimous.
Okay.
I'm going to have to look it up after this.
All right.
So you're not everybody's going to think the same way and agree on it, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
In one word. So, or trying to say in one word.
Unanimous vote.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's you have anything else to add?
Other than that, not really. No. I just think that the IR spots, making sure your waivers are open a little bit wider than normal, and then giving your people time to possibly extra roster spots depending on how deep your leagues are. If you're in a super shallow league, then I think you should be open to possibly having a few more roster spots. But
I looked up the word. It's unanimity. Right? Am I saying that right? Unanimity?
Yeah.
Look, right? UNANIMITY. So that's what I'm saying. Anyways, that's how you're going. That's how commissioners should be handling their leagues, and how leagues should be handling this whole COVID-19 situation. Really, just giving it up to everybody in the league, talking about it, making a decision prior to the start of the league, or even really preferably before the draft. So, but that's it on that question. Thanks, Rob. Street is on fire. That was a fire question. So let's get into our late round running backs and late round tight ends. These guys who are going to help you win your league, pick that championship up, take that Tyreek helmet, So, John, hit us with our first running back.
So someone who's going right now in a standard league at the ADP of 97, 97, and which makes him running back 40 off the board.
Yep.
PPR league 79 and running back 35.
Yep.
That's going to be Jordan Howard from the Miami Dolphins. Getting a little bit of bias in there whenever we can. So, back in 2016, he was a standard running back. He was standard running back 9, PPR running back 10 on 252 touches for 521 yards we both know that he ran for 1,000 yards his first 2 seasons, and that he's someone who's proven that he can be a workhorse back and someone who can produce on the field. So when you're picking him up, you're grabbing him late in the 8th round, 9th round. He's going to be someone who, if you haven't grabbed a running back by now, there's no situation Jordan Howard's going to be your running back 1 for your team. So
you don't think there's any possibility that he could be a run like
you're not drafting him to
okay.
Yeah,
you're not drafting
I'm talking
him to
about
be.
when you're picking him up.
Okay,
yeah. You're not picking him up to be your first running back on your team,
right?
Hoping for some, 2 to 3 other players behind him.
But when you're picking him up, he could become, down the road.
Do you really think that has the possibility to finish in the top 12 running backs?
Yeah, if they give him the carries. So, I mean, looking at it, he had his first year. He had 252 carries. He finishes in the standard league running back 9 and PPR 10th running back. The following year he had 276. He finished in at the standard position of 10, running back 10, and then PPR 14, so high end wide receiver 2 there. And then in 2018 he had another 250 carries. And he finished as a low-end wide receiver 2 at running back 20. So, I mean, ceiling-wise, if he does get the carries, if he gets the 250-plus carries, I mean, I do think that he could, ceiling, be a running back 1. He just has to get the opportunity. I mean, he's shown first, second, and even last year, He's been averaging 4.4. He averaged 4.4 yards per carry last year in his 10 games, 3.74 in his 16 games in 2018, so not the best. But before that, 4.07 and 5.21 his rookie year.
So my only problem with that is you do have Jordan Howard coming into the offense, and we're going into Miami's offense. I mean, last year they only had 371 rushing attempts total throughout the season, including their quarterbacks.
Right.
And the year before that, they only had 349. Mm-hmm. Last year was their first year under Brian Flores.
Yep, and I think that's a big thing.
So, I mean, they had an uptick about 30 carries in the season, but they did also trade up for Matt Breida. So you have 2 running backs in that backfield. I don't see Jordan Howard getting 250 carries out of that backfield.
Oh, no, neither do I.
And so to put him up there in that running back 1 through 7, I think we're arguing right now.
No, and
running back 12.
Yeah.
I don't see him as a running back 12. He doesn't. The Miami offense has 2 skilled backs. Both running backs in their backfield could be running back 1s if they had the opportunity and the carries to do so. We obviously know Jordan Howard's not going to be getting 60, 70 catches out of that backfield.
Yeah,
He's not going to be getting, even 60, 70 targets out of that backfield this year.
The most he's gotten is 50, so yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so Matt Breida is going to be their primary pass-catching back. I think Jordan Howard's ceiling's actually going to be possibly towards the upwards of, maybe a high-end running back 2, but I do not think he's going to crack that running back 1 mark because there's a lot of skilled running backs that are going to be getting that opportunity, and Miami spent draft capital.
A 5th round.
Not much.
Yeah, a 5th round pick. But I mean, no, I agree, and I do think if you were to put these players, if you were to put Matt Breida and Jordan Howard in a bubble, Matt Breida is a much more talented back.
It's those injuries, huh?
Exactly. So if he does get injured, that's why I see his ceiling as a low end 1. If he can get those 250 carries, there's a little asterisk next to it.
Yeah, I just don't see Miami's offense running in the way to where there's an availability for him to have 250 carries. I could see him getting in the 200 mark, 220 maybe. But 250 I think is asking a lot when the team itself is running for 350, 370 on a high end.
I think they'll be running a lot more than that. I think they'll run over that 400 point. Especially if Tua comes in late. But, it all again, it kind of goes back to what's happened in the quarterback situation. If Tua comes in late, I think they will start running the ball more. If Fitzpatrick's out there, then they're gonna sling the ball around, and that'll be more conducive towards Breida. But I think at this ADP,
exactly what I was gonna say.
Exactly.
Like at this ADP, you're not really. You only need someone who you can flex.
right?
And to be able to flex, you need 10 points a game. And at 10 points a game, you're really only looking for a running back 2.
And I think that, and that's what we agree on.
And his floor, his ceiling, in my eyes, may be that running back, high end running back 2, but his floor also is that low end running back 2. I see him in that 12 to 24 range. Best and worst season of his life. I'm sorry, not of his life, but like best and worst season that I could realistically see on the situation he's been given. So I think he's a great pickup at this point, but I don't think that you're going to be finding your league winner here unless Matt Breida goes down. At that point right there,
I think that's the biggest.
We've talked about his injury history. If Matt Breida goes down, then yeah, obviously Jordan Howard's opportunities are going to go way up, and I can see that 250 carries.
Yeah.
But I don't like to plan for injuries.
No, yeah, you shouldn't.
And barring that, I'm not going to – I would draft him at this point. But surprisingly, Matt Breida in PPR leagues is going just a little bit below him.
Above him.
Above him.
Yeah,
and
just
then
a little bit above him.
And then in standard leagues, Matt Breida is actually going one above him.
Yes. Yeah. I believe 2 above him.
So are you drafting Matt Breida over Jordan Howard in either leagues?
In a PPR league, yes. Yes. I do like – he's going to be the main pass-catching back on that team, and I think that is going to create a ton of value for him. But in general, I mean, like I said, Breida's shown that he could be in San Francisco. He could be the number 1 running back, and that's what kind of hinders me from Howard. But at the same time, Breida is not always on the field, and Howard has shown that he could be a solid running back too.
Yeah, you only have one halfback on the field, so both of them are skilled, and what makes it hard for me. I hate to say that you're going to have a timeshare because I don't think that's what's going to happen, but I think you're going to see that when you look at the attempts, if both of them play 16, which I don't even see happening for both of them, you're going to find that it's going to be like a 65-35 split. It's not going to be a 50-50, and it's not going to be a 10-90.
So just to go back to their ADP, PPR-wise, Breida's going at running back 39, and Howard's going at running back 35, 80 overall, and Breida's going at 90 ADP. So, but anyways, I do think that, Howard, one of the other big things is Howard has a ton of goal line potentials, or goal line. He'll have a ton of goal line target or touches, and that's also going to add to his value.
Yeah, so, he'll have the majority of the goal line work in Miami.
Yeah, exactly. So, and at this point, you can't really complain about that. So his ceiling is great. His floor is great for this position. So that's why you should draft Jordan Howard. But anyways, let's move on to another interesting running back. He's got a top 2 round. I mean, at the top 24 ADP running back going in front of him, or right in front of him, and that's Kenyon Drake. So let's talk about Chase Edmonds.
Yeah, let's talk about him. Right now he's going standard running back 47, which makes him ADP 146. And in PPR, he's running back 48, going an ADP of 111. Obviously, we both understand he is the definition of a handcuff. If you pull up the dictionary and go to handcuff, you'll see a little picture of Chase Edmonds.
Yeah.
So when he had his opportunity in Arizona, we saw a little bit of flashes. He had a 3-touchdown, 100-yard game on only, I believe it was 12 carries. So we've seen that he can be someone that's going to be great and have good games. But he's
I'm sorry, that game he had 20. I think you're talking about the Giants game. He had 27 carries.
I'm sorry, 27.
Yeah, but for 126 yards, that's not bad. That's still a 4.67 yards per carry. And he was a lone back. That's when Kenyon Drake actually got traded. That was Kenyon Drake's first game, and David Johnson was out of the picture. Yeah. So they're not going to play Kenyon Drake in that game. And Chase Edmonds
was the primary back,
lone back. So go ahead.
That was also his only game in his career with more than double-digit carries.
Right.
I mean, he had a great game, but is that something we can expect from him week in, week out? Possibly.
Not with Kenyon Drake there.
No, absolutely, which is why we call him a handcuff.
Right.
Yes.
So you're really picking him up in case Kenyon goes down. And I think if he does go down, then I think Chase Edmonds could be a league winner, to be honest. I mean, if Kenyon Drake goes down or something happens to Kenyon where he's not the primary back and it switches over to Chase, that's where you're gonna find he's gonna help win that league. You don't think so?
I mean, you're picking him up in the 10th, 11th round.
Exactly. And that's the thing.
And so, like, I mean, if Kenyon goes down, it's someone you definitely want. If you have him rostered, you're extremely happy about because he's someone who's going to, if he has the opportunity, could have a lot of potential. The sample size is so small, though.
8 games or whatever it was.
I mean, we only have one good game.
Oh, are you talking about Kenyon or
I'm talking about Chase.
Oh, Chase, yeah,
the sample size for Chase Edmonds,
and
and this is assuming Kenyon Drake goes out there to be an absolute baller for Arizona, and Chase Edmonds' value only comes from his handcuff ability. You only have that one real game, and so it's such a small sample that I'd like to think that he has that value. And if he's obviously Kenyon goes down, he will have that value. But I don't know if it's going to be a week-to-week basis. So the handcuff, you saying that he's a league winner. He could be. It's just,
I think
if he was undrafted, like 200 in the 160s, 180s, where he's not being picked up in the regular draft, I'd be like, oh yeah, that's obviously a league winner because he's someone who can come in and instantly step into a running back 2 role.
Yeah.
We don't know if we can. That's running back 1 numbers from that 1 week he was the starter.
Right.
Absolutely, but we don't know if that's something you can expect every week because.
Well, and I'm looking at some numbers here, and any week, and this was 5 weeks. Out of all those 5 weeks, he did not drop below, or 4 weeks. I'm sorry, he didn't drop below 4.67 yards per carry. On five carries, he had an average of 6.8 yards a carry, 8.5, and with 6, he had 6.17 yards per carry. So, I mean, it's a very small sample size. It is. But
week 8.
Yeah, no, I mean, it wasn't pretty. It wasn't pretty. He only 1.14. So, but still, I mean, every running back's going to do that where he puts that bad week up. But I think that little bit of a sample size at least gives me enough hope to where he could be a solid, running back 2 if Kenyon Drake.
Like I said, if Kenyon goes down, he's someone I could expect running back 2 numbers from. I'm not expecting that 27 carries for 126 yards and 3 touchdowns. Not even 4 times a season from him. I mean, I'm not expecting him to score 3 touchdowns 4 times a season. So, I mean, if he can give me half of that week by week with a few weeks being higher, and that being his, half of that being his baseline, we're looking at someone who you're picking up in the 11th round. You're happy about it.
Yeah.
He's someone I would absolutely be happy to roster if my team's built up by the 10th round, but built up by that time to where I'm confident in what I have, and that's just someone I can handcuff and sadly hope for an injury.
Yeah. Now, do you think if you're the Kenyon Drake owner, do you need to handcuff Kenyon with?
So I hate this question with some people because what you're asking me is like, do you need to do it? And it's dependent. I mean, obviously it's dependent on your running back group. If you have 2 more, if you have another running back you can slot right in and expect those roughly the same numbers from, then yeah. Then no, I'm sorry. You don't need to have him. But if Kenyon Drake's your starting running back he's your running back 1, then yes, you need to have him because you took a later. It's not as much as the Dalvin Cook, Alexander Madison trade-off to me, because Dalvin Cook you're grabbing in the first 5, 6, 7 picks. Kenyon Drake you're grabbing possibly mid-second round, late first, late second, depending on how your draft goes.
Mm-hmm.
Chase Edmonds' value and what he's going to get from him isn't going to be as much as Madison's for Cook. So if you pick up Cook and you spend all that value on him, you need to have Madison. If you're picking him up later, then you don't need to have Edmonds. You probably can pick up someone who's going to give you that.
Yeah, see, I it's weird with the whole COVID thing going on. Like,
true. I didn't even think about the COVID. You're right.
Because if for some reason he misses a game and they've been game planning, Chase will be shoved into that position. But I think, especially this year, if I have Zeke, I'm grabbing Tony Pollard. If I have Dalvin Cook, I'm grabbing Alexander Madison. If I have Kenyon Drake, I'm grabbing Chase Edmonds, personally. And I think this...
Well, not to take up too much time, but...
Oh, we're taking up time.
I'm sorry. I'm just questioning now. Obviously, if, I hate to say this, but if we're handcuffing a running back this season, if your player goes in, is COVID, that entire running back group more than likely is about to get put on COVID exempt because they've been in contact with that running back for the past multiple weeks.
But we haven't really seen that so far. We haven't seen whole groups of wide receiver groups.
We haven't really seen players been contracted with it. We've seen organization members being contracted with it, and then anyone who's been in contact with that organization member being put on that exempt list with Justin Jefferson and the Vikings. It was the trainer.
Same with Detroit, Matt Stafford. It was the trainer.
Yeah. So just something I just thought about, but
it's a question, and that's the thing. It's such a weird time. But personally, I do think you got to grab, your handcuff. It's
something to do.
It's
important. It's important in a regular season. It's really important this season, regardless.
Yeah. So let's move on real quick to the next one. This one's pretty interesting. Boston Scott. He is a standard running back, 57, ADP 157. PPR, he's running back 51, and ADP 125. So what are your thoughts on Boston Scott and that whole Miles Sanders, Philadelphia backfield?
I'm someone who's really helpful for Miles Sanders this year, so I'm hoping that Boston Scott doesn't eat up into his total targets, regardless if it's receptions or rushing attempts, especially red zone targets. I personally don't think that Boston Scott is going to have a huge role in this offense, but I think he's going to be viable. He's someone I can see coming into if you're drafting him in your fantasy drafts as a flex player.
Yep.
You're not expecting him. You're not expecting him to be your running back 2, running back 1. You're just hoping that he can get you through the week.
Even if Miles Sanders goes down, I wouldn't put Boston Scott. I wouldn't put Boston Scott in the same category as it did Chase Edmonds.
No, there's so much. And I was looking at this earlier. There's actually a lot of interesting depth and young depth at the running back group in minus Corey Clement in Philadelphia that I'm not sure how the coaching staff would arrange and reset up their running back group once Miles Sanders goes down.
They would sign somebody.
You believe that'd be their first step? They have 2 rookies in their backfield right now, a second-year player and a third-year player. And that third year being Boston Scott.
Yeah, I think they would draft
You think they pick someone up?
Just with the talent right now in the free agent market.
Sure.
Lamar.
You got Devonta Freeman, Lamar.
So I do think, and that's one of the things that worries me about this whole Philadelphia running back core. If they sign somebody, does Miles Sanders' stock drop? But anyways, we're not talking about him. Talking about Boston Scott. A couple of the things, though, that really turned me on to Boston Scott is the fact that last year he finds the end zone. Last year he only had 61 rushing attempts, but he had 5 touchdowns. And, you're not, like you said, he's a flex player. You'll play him in the matchups. It's going to be difficult to read the matchups, but you'll play him for those matchups. Going against the Washington football team, especially twice a year. Their defense isn't that great.
The Giants.
The teams with not so great defenses, he's a very explosive player. And he could get that flex player. He could fill that flex position for you. Another one of the other stats I was reading is he had 721 all-purpose yards, and that finished third on the team. So I think he's a great flex, especially in a PPR league. I think he's a great flex option, and he could really help your team or solidify that flex spot, really. So
yeah.
But anyways, let's move on to our next player, and this one's a pretty interesting one because he had a back similar to him last year, and he's got this other back in front of him that carries 300 plus times a year. So let's talk about Darrington Evans. John, you're rubbing your hands. What's up?
I'm actually extremely excited for Darrington Evans to come into this offense. As much as everyone likes to think that Derrick Henry's this power, and he is. He's a wrecking ball. I hate to go through that word.
Came in like a wrecking ball.
Sing it. So he's obviously an amazing running back, but everyone gets injured.
Yes.
Derrick Henry doesn't catch passes very often. So
when he does, though, he takes him to the house.
90, But no, so I think Darrington Evans is coming into an opportunity where you're going to find that the pass catching role in Tennessee is going to be going to him. He's going to be their pass catching back. He's not going to be. I remember 2 years ago, everyone was excited for Dion Lewis. And there was that Dion Lewis, Derrick Henry debate. And even for half the season, Tennessee didn't know what they wanted to do with their running back.
And they finally gave it.
And they finally let Derrick Henry run the ball up and down the field. Now, I don't think Darrington Evans is going to have that, Dion Lewis role. He's not going to be. They're not going to be questioning whether or not to run Darrington Evans, pass him the ball, or run Derrick Henry up the field. Derrick Henry's going to get the looks, but they're going to get a milder version of that. And he's someone who can absolutely show you. He ran 255 times last year for 1,480 yards and 23 touchdowns.
Yeah, no,
he's an absolute beast. But he also has that pass catching ability,
and that's where I think, especially in a PPR league, that's where he's going to flourish, or especially if Derrick goes down.
And
because they're going to have to switch up.
If Derrick Henry goes down, that's someone you're going to hope is on your roster. So if I'm picking this guy up, I'm picking him up in whatever ADP he is. Right now he's going at ADP 167. That's nearly undrafted. And that's in a standard league, which makes him running back 64. In a PPR, he's running back 64. Again, ADP 160. Again, just above that undrafted mark. You're picking him up in that 14th round unless someone sniped him early. I would be happy grabbing him in my 11th, 12th, maybe even 13th round. At that point, I'm drafting high potential anyways.
Exactly.
And
picking him up where he could way outperform. By miles. And one of the stats that I thought was interesting was that Dion Lewis wasn't very fantasy relevant last year, but he still had 38.2 snap share percentage, which I don't think that Darrington Evans maybe gets that right away, but I think he will work into that Dion Lewis-esque, time or slot. So I think he will be presented with plenty of opportunity. And for a running back in front of him that's running the ball for more than 300 times, like we always say, you can't predict injury, but, that's a lot of times. I know he's a big guy. He's 6'2", 250. He's a big boy. So I'm not going to say it's inevitable because I don't want him to get hurt. But
don't say that.
it's not.
Just
No,
skip over it. Skip over it.
It's just that's what Darrington Evans is. That's where he will flourish, especially if something does happen to Henry. So
Personally, for me, he's a week by week flex player. Unless we find that Tennessee decides to change up their offense and to let Ryan Tannehill throw the ball a little bit more to their running backs. He's a week by week flex player for me, depending on the matchup. Unless Derrick Henry goes down, then he's probably a week by week flex starter. And I'm still keeping the rest of my roster, unless he absolutely starts balling. But I have a lot of value in him. I think he's going to be good.
I think his opportunity there to be the pass catching back is solid. One of the
end of the draft pick. So
yeah, and even if you don't draft him, even if he does go undrafted, just keep an eye on him. Yep. Keep an eye on him and see what happens in that Tennessee backfield. So, anyways, let's move on to our tight ends.
Sounded dirty.
Ooh, John likes him. So Noah Fant, John likes Noah Fant a lot. He likes that whole Broncos offense, I feel, except for the running backs.
I do. I like Drew Lock this year.
We're not talking about Drew.
Is Drew not throwing the ball to Noah?
He is.
Is Noah throwing himself the ball? Did Joe Flacco come back and say, "Hey,
yeah, he
I'm going to start"?
He re-signed with the Broncos,
but he's not starting. So obviously, Noah Fant came out last year and was a rookie tight end in the league and still finished 16th in standard and PPR scoring. He finished with the 15th most targets as a tight end, with 67 targets and catching 40 of them for 462 yards, meaning that he was dealing with a quarterback transition through Denver at the time, had a 58.7 or 60.6% catch percentage at the time. Mm-hmm. And personally, I'm thinking that's going to be changing up. He's getting more acquainted with his quarterback, with Drew Lock. He's coming into an offense where the quarterback's going to be more comfortable. He's going to be more comfortable. I hope that he can catch a little bit more out of that because he only caught 3 touchdowns last season. So he ranks 7th with tight ends. He ranks 7th with tight ends for yards after catch. So you can see that he has opportunity to do stuff with the ball when you get the ball in his hands.
Yep.
You just need to get it to him more often, and he needs to catch the ball more often. 60% is pretty low for a tight end. You usually see their catch percentage in the high 60s to the low 80s.
80s, yeah.
And so if he can get his catch percentage to over 75, get a few more touchdowns this season,
he'll be viable.
He compared to last season's finishes, he'd be a mid-range tight end 1.
Yep.
And that's where I see his ceiling being. So I see him for 5 touchdowns, 80-plus catches, 100 targets, even with Jerry Jeudy coming into the offense, KJ Hamler, and Cortland Sutton being there. I still see him as someone who you can pick up super late, with him right now being drafted in Standard League of Tight End 11 and a PPR League of Tight End 12, and expect mid-range Tight End 1 numbers.
Yep.
And low-end Tight End 1 numbers almost week to week.
Yeah, exactly. I 100% agree. I think he's going to outperform that Tight End 11, Tight End 12, where he's being drafted at currently. He's got, as long as Drew Lock can perform, and, I mean, he finishes 16 last year with 2 different quarterbacks. So I think that he will finish in that top 7, top 8, top 7 tight end. So, I mean, the value there is ridiculous. It's great. I'd be comfortable with not drafting a tight end until Noah Fant's there at around that 103 in standard, 122 in ADP. So I think that he'd be great, and he could help carry that tight end position on your team. So, anyways, let's move on to the next one, and that is Mike Gesicki. He's a standard. In standard, his ADP is 142. He's going as the tight end 16. PPR, he's going as the tight end 15, and ADP 147.
Yeah, so Mike Gesicki actually finally broke out a little bit last season. I don't know if you remember it all, but one of my first dynasty leagues that I joined was one of yours. And in my first rookie draft, I took Mike Gesicki in the 3rd round. And I thought I got myself an absolute stud. I thought he was coming into an offense where they were just going to feed him. But little did I know that I was going to end up dropping him at the end of 2018 season.
Ooh,
and
rough.
I picked up Eric Ebron off the waivers with him.
Ouch.
Because I'm sorry, I had Eric Ebron. I picked up Will Dissly off the waivers midseason.
That's a solid pick.
It was until he went down week 6.
Yep.
Or week 8.
Damn.
And
Those injuries, man.
So I lost Mike Gesicki. He's already been picked up, but he's someone who I saw a lot of potential in coming into the season. We've already seen the 2 receivers opt out in Miami with Allen Hurns and Albert Wilson. Got it.
He's from Fort Pierce.
Hey.
Just right down the road.
So I'm expecting that Mike Gesicki gets a little more comfortable in his role in Miami this season, and that with the quarterback situation even going on, even if you have Ryan Fitzpatrick or Tua coming in, Ryan Fitzpatrick showed that Mike Gesicki can be a great deep threat at being the number 7th tight end targets for deep targets with 13 deep targets last season. Oh, that was a lot of deep targets.
That was a lot of deep targets.
But so we've seen that Ryan Fitzpatrick can find confidence in Mike Gesicki. Low catch percentage. Hopefully can get that up a little bit higher. But even if Tua comes in, he's going to rely on his tight end a little bit. And
he will.
Mike Gesicki is the only man that's going to flourish from that. So I see him finishing, if not better than where he did last year, at the same. You're going to get low end, mid-range 2, low end 1 from him, with a possibility of him having a really great season and finishing up at tight end 8-9.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I think that Mike, where you're drafting him, tight end 16, he's definitely going to return on that. Even if he does have a bad season, I think it'll be around that 14 to 13 spot as a tight end. My only concern is Preston Williams. You saw Gesicki flourish after Preston got hurt. And now, obviously Preston's hopefully back week 1. So can Fitzpatrick carry, Devontae and Gesicki and Preston?
Possibly not, but Tua can.
Yeah, yeah. So anyways, that's my only concern is Preston's coming back. If Preston is his biggest threat for targets and stuff like that. So, I like where he's going, and I think that he'll definitely finish above where he's at. He's a very talented tight end. When he was drafted, he was drafted because of his athletic ability, and he showed that last year. Drafting him here, it's no brainer.
You're drafting him 142, 147. It's. If you're a late round tight end drafter, he's your tight end 1.
Worst comes to worst, you start streaming tight ends if he does have a bad year.
Even then, he's being drafted tight end 16 and in a standard league and tight end 15 in PPR. He's gonna at least hit those numbers. You're getting your value from him.
What do you think his ceiling is?
Like I said, an 8, 9, 10 tight end 8, 9, 10.
I think his ceiling's a little bit higher than that, and
really?
That's one of the reasons why I'm drafting him. I think his ceiling is a 5 or 6. He's a great pass catcher. As long
57 points, 50-ish, 58% catch percentage last season.
What?
Mike Gesicki.
What are you talking about?
His catch percentage. You said he's a great pass catcher.
Oh yeah,
but he barely caught past half of his passes this last year.
Right, but wasn't 70% of his catches catchable? I believe it was.
Yeah, so actually last season that his targets were ranked 39th in catchability, meaning that only about 70% of his targets were actually considered catchable, which would have given him 68 targets, and his true catch percentage would have been 80.2%. So, yeah, you caught me there.
But no, I do. I think that where you're drafting him, I think his ceiling is at 5, 6. I foresee him finishing around that 9, 10.
Yeah,
which is
same.
And it's not difficult though to be a tight end one. We've seen it the past couple of years. You've got your really elites and then your okays.
Yeah.
But I think he has a skill set to be an elite or close to that. So I think that's why you're drafting him here and comfortable with him being your tight end one. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that was it. That is our running backs and tight ends for 2020. I think they're pretty good. I think these.
You've got some people that you can win your leagues with, so let's pick them up, grab them. Remember, we're going. What we said so far was Dartanian Evans,
Darrington Evans.
We've got Jordan Howard, Chase Edmonds, and Boston Scott. All people you should be looking at in your later rounds of your draft to hopefully just add some depth to your team for people that might end up as a high 2 flex player week by week and can help you win some games when someone goes down. So
yeah, anyways, let's get into our news real quick before we get into our beer of the day.
Absolutely. So obviously, as we get closer and closer to the season, yesterday, Thursday, at 4 p.m. was the NFL's cutoff for their COVID opt-outs. And what we ended up having was, I was expecting a lot more people to opt out by 4 o'clock today. I was expecting to just see a flood of people coming in. But realistically, the only huge people we're seeing, or only realistic people, I wouldn't even call them huge fantasy-wise.
Fantasy relevant.
The only fantasy relevant people we're seeing is Lucas. How do you pronounce that?
Nyang. I think. I don't know.
From the Chiefs. He's a third-round rookie guard. He actually opted out this season. So
yeah, he's drafted in the 3rd round this year, which is, that's pretty crazy. So I did not expect him to, and he was actually going to be replacing Laurent.
We talked about him.
Tardif. I forget his Laurent Duvernay. Yeah, Laurent Duvernay. Tardif. So they're going to have to find replacements there on the offensive line for the Chiefs. I don't think it's going to be an issue for them. They've got a great coaching staff, and there's some
free agents are going to flood to that market.
Yeah, there's some.
No one doesn't want to. No one's saying no to a Chiefs offer right now unless it's extremely low.
Exactly. Well, even then, I might take one for a ring. I'll play.
Yeah. Hey. But moving on from that, did you hear anything about the new Jeremy Hill signing going to the Raiders? He actually signed 2 days ago. This is obviously recorded on Thursday, but Jeremy Hill was signed into the Raiders, and from what I've seen in my fantasy news, he's someone who people are talking about. Is he going to be taking snaps away from Josh Jacobs? Is he going to be taking away pass catching attempts from Josh Jacobs? What do you think Jeremy Hill's impact for Josh Jacobs going into the season is going to be?
I'm going to say he's not going to have an impact at all because he was just cut.
So not much at all.
No.
So everyone who was freaking out about Jeremy Hill being signed by the Raiders and his impact on Josh Jacobs, just revert your mindset to
it's
2
okay.
days ago.
It didn't happen.
Nothing happened.
Nothing happened. Jeremy Hill's not a Raider. He's a free agent. Oh, man, that was kind
Hopefully he got a little signing bonus on his end.
Yeah, hopefully. All that stress. So, and then the biggest news we have, I would say.
Yeah.
Adam Gase.
What did he say?
Oh, boy. He said that Le'Veon Bell is in great shape, and he's extremely motivated.
So Le'Veon Bell's going to get 100 attempts all season because Gase is going to bench him. And
who knows with Gase? Oh, my gosh.
Oh, man.
That's why he's not in Miami anymore. Gosh.
I don't want to sound biased, but I'm sorry, Jets fans.
Yeah, no, as a Dolphins fan, I enjoy it because we're not the laughing stock anymore. I mean, we're pretty laughable.
I was gonna say we're still ranked lower than the Jets on a lot of standards, even with Jamal Adams being traded. So I don't want to, which I think is kind of, again, not trying to be biased.
All right,
but,
we
like,
gotta.
have you seen our free agents?
Yeah, Kyle Van Noy, Matt Breida,
Byron Jones,
Ooh.
Jordan Howard,
oh,
late round pick. You guys should pick him up.
Yeah,
10th round.
Yep.
9th round.
So, anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that was our late round quarterbacks and tight ends. It was a great show today. Now, let's get into our beer of the day. Ooh, that was good.
Wish I had more.
Yeah, you gotta. If you're not watching on YouTube, you gotta watch on YouTube because that was pretty entertaining. The last couple seconds, I think we're entertainers.
So what did you think of the beer so far? And again, today we're drinking a Bound by Time, which is an India Pale Ale, so an IPA, made by Edmunds Oats Brewing Company, and they are out of Charleston, South Carolina. So, Michael, what did you think of this IPA on National IPA Day?
Ooh, so when you take that first sip, like you said at the very beginning of the show, it's kind of sweet. You don't have that IPA taste. It's sweet, you get that beer hint, but then you let it sit for a few minutes or a couple seconds, and you get that hoppiness that an IPA gives. It's also kind of dry, which I like. I like in my beer. I don't mind having cotton mouth. So.
Is it carbonated?
Not
Hiccups,
so.
or are you burping?
I'm burping. So it is kind of, I would say it is kind of carbonated. So, anyways, I do enjoy it. You get that when you smell it, when you take a smell, you get that sweet, hoppy smell. What do you get?
I get a little bit of orange. Citrus. I get a lot of sweetness to it.
I get a lot of, yeah.
For something that's supposed to be an IPA and listed as a 70 IBU, it does have that bitterness to it. And IBU, for everyone that doesn't know, I know that a lot of people that watch fantasy football aren't beer drinkers, but IBU is the International Bittering Unit. And so that's how bitter your beer is going to be. And for such it's a 0 to 100 scale, and at a 70, you'd expect a lot more than what you're getting from this. You're expecting it to sit on your tongue for a while, and you're thinking about the flavor you're getting for a while afterwards. But realistically, it's almost as smooth as a lager. It's something that comes across your tongue. It dissipates really quickly. The flavor's there. It's quick. It's slightly bitter, but it's super sweet to me and kind of almost sour. And so I like it. It's my favorite IPA right now.
Ooh, favorite.
Yeah.
Book it. So when I'm drinking it, though, now that I'm sitting here, I just had my last sip. I'm kind of letting it sit on my palate, and I am getting that bitterness that gives it that 70 IBU. I can really taste that hop, but not if I'm sitting there constantly drinking it. I'm not going to get that hoppiness or that bitterness. Yeah. So, but after I finished it and let it sit for, a minute or so, that's when I started to realize why it has that 70 IBU, because now it's starting to sit there. It is kind of bitter. It is kind of hoppy. So overall, though, I mean, it is one of the better IPAs I've ever had. And I am an IPA drinker. I like the fact that it gives that sweetness up front. It doesn't hit you in the mouth with the hoppiness or the bitterness. But you take that first sip, sweet, and then the bitterness kind of starts to roll in.
Yeah, absolutely. I personally, the bitterness absolutely pronounced. You can taste that bitterness. It takes away from that alcohol bite that you would expect. But it's covered up really well by the sourness and the citrus that you get from it. There's a lot of fruit flavors mixed in here, and I really do enjoy it. So
on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give this?
For me,
beer scale, not IPA scale, just on a beer.
No, absolutely. On a beer scale, and I'm just going to explain my rating a little quickly. As someone who doesn't enjoy an IPA, I would give this an 8.5. It's something I could really, and I'm not trying to, obviously no one's paying us for this review.
Do you see our setup here?
Yeah, we bought
I'm
everything
pretty sure
here.
that terrible towel should have fell on us a couple of minutes.
The only people that have been nice to us so far is Southbound Brewing Company out of Savannah, Georgia. Hopefully, Edmonds Oast Brewing Company listens to this episode and is like, hey, I appreciate you guys liking our beer. But no, realistically, this is a really good IPA for someone that isn't into that super hoppy flavor and can only handle so much. And that's me myself. I could drink the hell out of this. I really do enjoy this.
It's a good one.
Probably going to buy myself some more. It was a good beer.
Yeah, no, I'd give it an 8.1.
Okay.
8.1. I definitely think there's not room for improvement, but I don't think this is the best beer I've ever had. I don't think it's the worst beer I've ever had. I don't think it's the most medium beer I've ever had. I think it is above that. It's a good beer.
It's a solid beer. It is a solid beer.
Yeah.
I would I would recommend this to anyone that's listening. And I stand by that. Again, not paid by anyone, so that's a true heartfelt.
It's heartfelt, people.
You know,
it's heartfelt.
When I enjoy something, I'll let you guys know. And I really enjoyed this one. Great beer.
Yes. So, anyways, the cool thing, one of the crazy things about Edmonds Oast Brewing Company, they have a 20,000 square foot brewing facility.
20,000? That's huge.
Yeah, 20 and 3 more zeros after that. That's a lot. Square foot. So, anyways, they're out of Charleston, South Carolina, South Kakalaki. John, you were up in that area. No, you're in Georgia.
I was in Georgia, Savannah area.
Close enough. Closer than I am now.
Close to it, yeah.
But a couple cool things. They've got, especially right now with COVID and everything going on, you can go to the brewery. The brewery is at 1505 King Street in Charleston, South Carolina. So if you're in that area, you can run and grab like a to-go pizza, a frozen pizza and stuff like that. And they actually have instructions on their take-home menu. So check out their website at edmondsoast.com, and that's EDMUNDSOAST.com. You can look at their menu. You can look at their instructions if you forgot them, if they don't give them to you. I've never been. We definitely got to go, though, because 20,000 square feet, that's
huge.
That's like a beer paradise.
Yeah. Hey, sit me down with some friends. Give me some good snacks.
Yeah, exactly. So, anyways, we were able to pick these up. Where did we pick these up, John?
Actually, ABC Liquor.
Yeah, ABC Liquor down here in Florida. They've got a few states that they are distributing to, and I'll read them off real quick. South and North Carolina, Tennessee, Florida, Alabama, New York City, and Long Island and New Jersey. So, if you're in any of those areas, check them out. See if you're, you can go on their website. On their website, they have a distributor's link, and then from there, it breaks it up by state, and you can go to those people's website and see where they're distributing to. So if you're in the area of anywhere they're distributing them, then you can pick one of these beers up. And then also, of course, they have events and things like that on their website with COVID and everything going on. Unfortunately, it looks like their calendar is empty. So, but as soon as this is over, check out their website, edmondsoast.com for their websites. But anyways, don't forget, everybody, to DM us on Instagram for your chance to win a Tyreek Hill helmet, signed helmet.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you guys have any fantasy football questions, want to join our listener league and have your chance to win that signed Tyreek Hill full-sized helmet.
It's free. You just got to DM us.
Absolutely free. No sign-in, no sign-up cost. Costs you 0 pennies and 0 cents. So make sure to reach out to us on our Instagram and Twitter, and it's going to be at the Fantasy Tap. If you want to reach out to us on our email, it's going to be thefantasytap@gmail.com.
Boom.
And that's going to be for any of your fantasy football beer recommendations or your request to join our amazing listener league where you can win, again, that signed Tyreek Hill helmet.
Ooh, boy, let's go, baby. And keep listening into the Fantasy Tap to win them championships. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We love ya.